Okay, let us pray. Dear God, we thank you for the new semester. I thank you that students can come back, even some still struggling to find a way back. We pray for them and help us tonight that we can learn something new from you and prepare ourselves to serve you better. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Okay, this is the first night, so oh, sorry, this is not the one intent. Let's see. Chapter 1, syllabus, pastor. Okay, this is the one. The first class is going to be Pastoral Ministry. So it sounds simple, but it's a little bit complicated. This class is about you who are going to serve either part-time, full-time, as a pastor or assistant or whatever. Because the job here is all over as a pastor. They will cover you as a pastor of teaching, preaching, counseling, and also you perform all the ceremony of the church. You do the baptism, you do the Lord's Supper, you officiate the funeral, the wedding. So everything besides teaching and preaching, you still have to run the church, and in many ways. So this class will cover most of the thing in basic thing to let you know that you have responsibility as a pastor to oversee the whole church activity. Some you have to do it all by yourself, some you get help. And this is something you need to know because some people don't know that, oh, to be a pastor, I have to do this, do that. Well, everything. Your church have any need, is you. You either do it yourself or you get some help from someone, but you oversee everything of your church. If your church is big enough, you can get elder or deacon to oversee a certain part of your responsibility. But in most of your cases, your church not big, your church small. So the final thing always come back to you. It's you who have to take responsibility for everything. So you can imagine what kind of job is this. So in some of the discussion, we will come to the point that most pastors are overworked, lower pay, and up to 90% of the pastors will quit within 10 years. When you heard the number, that it scare you. But this is the fact, this is the truth. So the 10% that survive is by the grace of God, not because they're superhuman or because they are better than the rest. Without the grace of God, I think 100% will quit. This is not a job. This is reality. It's a tough job. But still someone have to do it. So this course, this class will help you see your role, your position, your responsibility. But the intention of this class is not to scare you off. Somebody think that if I take this class, I know what's waiting for me, so I better quit now. Well, that's not the point. We want to encourage you, even it's a difficult job, but it's an honorable job to serve God. And not everyone got called to do this work. Some. You need to learn about a lot of sacrifice by serving in this position. And now I know some of you ready, but now the next question is your spouse ready for this? Because you cannot do it yourself. Your spouse needs to support you. Without their support, you cannot survive. How about your children? Well, at least if they cannot help you much, at least they're not going to stand in your way. Well, if your children still small, they still cannot do much, but when they're older, there might be a problem for your ministry too. So at least pray for them, and at least they can do something for you. You know that in America, most of pastor children quit church. I will not have no intention to scare you, but this is another fact, another secret. Most of pastor children in America quit church after they left home. They never come back. So we will cover on that about your family, your children, why, and what can we do to make it better. So this is some other thing that is a secret that nobody want to talk about it, but we need to talk, we need to know, to prepare ourselves for all things that can happen. So we intend for you to see yourself and to see what you're going to do and what people expect from you and what the reality, how much you can do and what you cannot do. But even in seminary, they want you to know a lot because they always want the academic side, mean that the knowledge you can get from the course. But for me, I hope you get the reality, the practical side too. What you can do, what you need people help for you to do it. And you will come to the point to see that you can do something, but you cannot do everything. You need help. And we will cover everything, as I say, wedding, funeral, baptism, the Lord's Supper, and many other things in your culture that American pastor don't do. Like you need to have home Bible study when people sick, or when somebody die in the family. You need to go to their family to have Bible study and stay with them for the whole week or something. That is some extra thing that typical American pastor don't do it, but in most of Asian culture, you have to do it. And we call them comfort ministry. You stay with them in the hospital or at their home when they have need. And a lot of you, we expect you to practice. If you've not done it before, you need to practice in your small group, how to do baptism, how to do the Lord's Supper in your small group. You need to find someone or some people to get together and you need to practice it in your small group. How to do the Lord's Supper, how to do baptism. When I was student, some friend volunteer and we all baptized him more than 10 times. Because we need to learn how to do real baptism. Water baptism, I mean submerging, not sprinkling though. Our school teach submerging, not sprinkling. And practice the Lord's Supper, what you're supposed to say, how you to do it, and many other things. So this class will teach you the theory plus the practical side that you need to have. And many other things that the seminary also expect from you that you will learn in this course. And we have some textbook from handbook that you're supposed to have. There will be handbook for the pastor, mean that they will help you with all the Bible verses and all the procedure when you need to do the Lord's Supper, the baptism. And if different denomination have the different handbook. So that a good idea if you work for your convention. You might find the handbook that fit your convention or your denomination. So we give you some idea. Because the school belongs to the Southern Baptist, they will give you some idea about how the Southern Baptist do all these things. But if you're going to pastor the church in different denomination, you're supposed to have the handbook of that denomination. So you will know the difference and how to do it correctly. But we recommend some general book that can be applied to most denominations, that you might take a look at them. And I always say that buy just the book that you're going to use. Don't buy anything for decoration or feel that you have to. Just the one that you're going to use them. So the cost and participation mean that 15% if you come to join the class, if you study through Zoom. But if you study by yourself, you still have to go to listen to the video anyway. And reading, we have some reading, texting, and the lecture note that I send you. And small group study, it got 20%, mean that you join one of the group that you help one another. And especially this class will demand you to practice something together. And you have friends to help you or guide you who have more experience too. And because, as I say, that this is the Baptist school, they want you to read that this is faith and message. It's just the theology of the Southern Baptist. And we will have one chapter cover this whole thing. It's a lot. But we're not going to study in detail because it takes the whole semester to study this. We don't have enough time. We're just going to give you the material and you can go over them, compare with your denomination. And here in this chapter, we will compare the Baptist faith and message of Baptist theology throughout history, 100-something years. There will be about four major differences, or you might say that four versions of them in different years, in that 150 years, to see how the Southern Baptist developed or changed in their belief a little bit. So this is just for your record to see. Order of service is just for you to learn how to light the worship service, funeral, or the wedding ceremony, or planning for do all these things. So you will have a chance to do that three major things, that important thing. You will learn how to light the order of them once from step one until the end. So this is the three major things that you need to do it all the time, correctly. And you will also do some kind of a paper of different ministry that you're going to do it in the real time, real situation. And you're going to like your experience when you're doing that in real situation. So this is when we come closer, I will give you more information how to do it. And you will interview some pastor, and that is 15%. And when we come there, you will do more. We will give you some advice how to ask the question. And most of the time, we want you to ask the question that you cannot learn from the books, but mostly about the senior pastor experience in ministry. many years. So the question will relate to the experience and how you think about if you face a certain situation, how they solve the problem. So this is mainly about you want to learn from the senior pastor experience, the one who still serving or the one who already retired is okay. But we want you to learn from the one who have a lot of experience in the past. And this is all the point or the grade will come out. And this is the weekly course that we're going to learn. It will cover most of your responsibility as a pastor of a church. You will do all the things that you're supposed to do. You know your role, your responsibility, and you do all the planning for the worship, all kind of service that the church supposed to have. Yep, you see, you have the funeral, you have all the Lord's Supper. Some church have every week, some church have every month. And how to work with volunteer, how to work with your team, how to give counseling, how to deal with your own family, and everything that we can cover as much as we can. And in the end, you will see some more books or tools that we recommend that you can use. Okay, I will stop here a little bit for you. If you have any question concerning the syllabus and the requirement. I know if you don't have time to read and digest them, you still may be confused what that we expect from you. Okay, my first question to you is it too much for you to handle?
Hello อาจารย์สว่างสบายดี
สบายดี
I've been driving, so I'm in the mountain.
Oh,
I don't have no service. I cannot get in.
oh, okay.
I didn't hear everything at all, but I hear I just got in like a couple minutes ago, so
Oh,
probably
okay.
the end this, and maybe I just watch that YouTube after this on today
Oh,
lesson for today.
so where you going?
I coming back from Los Angeles, and I go to the north, but it seems like we have an accident over here by the grapevine, and I've been stuck here like a couple hours now
Wow.
on the mountain. Yeah.
Okay, that is the very serious spot. It's
Yeah,
always
it's
have
the
problem there.
really high mountain over here, and I don't have that good internet over here.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, but thank you still for Thai to coming in.
Yes. I don't have any question right now, but maybe next time, maybe next week.
Okay.
Yeah, I only hear part of them, so I didn't hear all of them, so I can't have any question right now.
Okay, no problem. When you have time, you can uh, watch the YouTube and look at the syllabus I send you, and we can talk more next week when you have all the good signal.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, we know it was going to have to drive all night back home. Mm.
Yeah, yes. Try to get home tomorrow night.
Mm.
John, to answer your question, yeah, it sometimes feel like too much, but I think to me the problem is when I actually perform the real ceremony for funeral. That's one thing that I you know worry about if I a pastor, because never done that before. Also, I think the premarital counseling thing that that you mentioned earlier. So we haven't taken any counseling class, and how can we do that?
In fact, you need to take the counseling courses. We offer a few counseling courses, and you see that for the basic certificate or diploma, they don't have this counseling courses requirement. But we're going to offer it in the future because it's so important. You need to have all the counseling knowledge to help people. The assembly redesign the program. They just cover all the basic Bible teaching, but they don't really cover much of the pastoral real job that we need to do. And I believe that you need to counseling your people almost every week. Everyone have problem. They don't tell you, that's all. I don't know how many of you ever take any counseling courses before.
Yeah, John, we did.
Okay,
I
that's
thought
good.
we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, in general counseling and pastoral counseling, they will have a lot of basic similarity, but there are going to be a lot of differences when you come to theology or belief. The main thing, because I have degree in counseling from the private world, even the secular world too, so I know a big difference. The main thing of counseling outside the church is just try to make you happy. And at all costs, mean that you are number one. Whatever make you happy, the goal of the counseling is that. But for Christian counseling, the goal is to glorify God, to satisfy God, not you. So that's a main difference already. So we go on different way. So we try to find how to balance that. People have the need, but for Christian, God have to come first. So you need to know exactly what we believe and how to live a life according to what God wants us to be. Okay, so a lot of things is going to come each week. And in the syllabus, you might get some idea because they try to tell you that what chapter that you need to read the books or the note that I send you. And that will give you some idea where we're going. The note that I sent you will cover most of what they're talking on like chapter 7 to 13 or something. But we're going to break down, instead of read the whole 5-10 chapter, we're going to go specifically on each topic for each week. So you will have a smaller part to read, maybe just 1 or 2 chapters. But if you read the note, it will cover most of the thing. And if you don't want to buy all this textbook, you don't need to, because the lecture note will cover most of what we want to talk, what we want to learn anyway. Okay, you have any more questions?
I have one question about that book for the pastor, use it for the Bible verses and stuff, and I heard Achan, you talking about every nomination is a different book, a different they create a different thing on the book. So is that a something we can get online or something we can get from the church or?
Yes, different denomination will have different teaching suggestion for you as a pastor, because that theology will guide you. So first you need to know what your church believe. And after that, the book that will serve you the best is come from your leadership, from your convention or denomination. But most of evangelical have similar belief or similar theology. So we don't have main differences.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome, Nathan.
Yeah, you mentioned that we don't have counseling courses in depth. Are we planning to? Do you think the convention will Gateway Seminary will offer in the future?
You see in the requirement for different certificate or diploma, they don't require. Or those courses are elective. It means that they don't require you to have it to get that diploma. So this is why we need to offer it for you instead. If you stay long enough, because some students just want to stay long enough to get their diploma and then done. So if you want extra courses that we could offer outside of the basic requirement.
Yeah, I think if it's not too hard, it's good to offer, because whoever that study prepared to be pastor, I think it's good to know, so we can do God's work correctly, successfully.
Yeah, you're right. And I see that those are important courses too.
Yeah.
In the past, we offer 2 counseling courses. The first one is the basic. The second one is more advanced. And that many years ago, though. So we might come back and offer them again.
Ajahn, can you suggest them? Can you some courses can you do it, or you have to come? It has to come from Gateway Seminary.
We can substitute. That's another option we have. We still can have courses that the seminary main campus offer, but not our center. And we can use that as substitute for some other courses that you do have. So we can do that. Mean
Yeah,
that we off, yes.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have. Sorry, it's good to have counseling, and I don't know what you guys think, but I think it's like basic psychologies would be helpful too.
How you think out of your friend? We can substitute or swap some courses.
What I see, what I see about when I talk about psychologists, sometimes we don't know. We only think what we know, but we don't learn how to observe other people. How do they think? Sometimes without knowing, we might offend people. We do things like not the way it should be, and just we can offend people, and that will close our ministry's success. So
yeah, you're right.
John, by the way, are we recorded right now? Is it recorded?
It's still recording.
Okay. I just make sure that it's recorded for other students.
Yeah, I will stop when we take a break. I'm going to give you a short break. Some students say that we should take a break every hour. So I will give you every hour, but short the break. And in fact, seminary require that I give you 10-minute break every hour. Okay, why not I give you now? Okay, let's go to chapter 1 now. Now we're going to talk about the value of pastoral ministry, understand the role of the pastor in general. And here we talk about pastor ministry in the philosophical term. It's the ideal, it's a high job, it's the job that God calls someone to take care of the flock, or mean that God calls someone to take care of the believer in this world on behalf of God. So this is a high calling. This is the job that God put on certain people's life. God called Moses. Now, the ideal model of the pastor is Moses. But today we don't have all the authority like Moses has. And the responsibility is almost like what Moses responsible for people. So that's the model that a lot of theologian put pastor in that position. Now the word pastor is not exactly in the Bible in the sense. Now, when you go to the first church in the book of Acts, the apostle put the pastor work as apostle, elder, compared to what we have today. But the word pastor never used in the early church. We believe that the word pastor is more popular after the Reformation, mean that on the 16th century, when Martin Luther started using the word pastor for or the shepherd, the one who take care of the church. You go back to the book of Acts. The church divided into two departments. The first department they call the work of apostle or elder. And the second part they call deacon or the group of 7. So that's the division. The first group is more of the people who work full-time, serving church and serving the people. And today we call the ordained ministry. And the second group we call volunteer, or the people who help without position or not staff that we call today. They are deacon, or the one who take care of the business of the church. If you go back to the major difference between the two groups, the first group or the pastor group we call spiritual ministry, mean that take care of the spiritual need of the people. And the second group or the deacon, we call them, they take care of the secular or physical need of the church. In the early church, it's clear. The apostle or the spiritual group, they take care of teaching, preaching, praying for the people. The second group taking care of feeding the poor, visiting the sick, and helping all the needy. And that is the main job, the differences. Now in this course, we will go back to talk about the first group, the apostle, the elder. And later on, they might call the presbyter. This is the group that take care of the spiritual need, mainly spiritual need of the people. But now people ask, how about modern day pastor? Well, modern day pastor is a little bit mix of both. Because if you are a small church, you have to do everything, physical, mental, and spiritual need of the people. But if you are in the big church, you can just do the spiritual need of the church and let some other volunteer like or the deacon take care of the physical need or other staff. So that is a big church. But today we found out that more than 80 or 90% of churches all over the world are small. So you see that more than 90% of the pastors have to do everything. Now how you balance that, it depends on a lot of things. Now in this, we talk more about the philosophy and theology of a church. They try to define that what is the church. In the essence, they say a church is not the building. The church is the group of believers who join together to serve God, to worship God, to be a new family of God on earth. So why we exist here? The Bible always says that God saved us out of the world, but we still live in the world, waiting for the coming back of Jesus. But while we're waiting, we have job to do. Help one another, that one thing. And beside that, try to save the world in the sense of sharing the good news with people outside the church and waiting for Jesus. And this is the main job of the church, helping one another, serving God, and try to serve the world in the same time. That in short. And the pastor always the head of the whole thing. The pastor need to supervise, need to guide, need to help, make everything go smoothly as possible. Without the pastor, things going to be chaos. So God put a pastor in the sense of the Bible is like the shepherd. Jesus always compared his follower as the sheep, and he himself is the good shepherd. The pastor today try to model after Jesus in some sense, try to help Jesus taking care of his flock in this world while we're waiting for his return. We know that the human pastor cannot replace Jesus. I cannot compare with Jesus. But still, Jesus put the responsibility on the pastor in this world. Now we sum up some of the main job of a pastor. The first one we see that feeding the flock. And this is come directly from the Bible, that we need to feed them. Mean that teach them the words of God, help them to grow, to understand what God wants them to do. And this is the main job, feeding spiritually with the words of God. Leading the flock means that they're not just learning the words of God, but they need to live their life every day in this world while waiting for Jesus. So they will have a lot of obstacle, a lot of problem, a lot of difficulty that we got to help them navigate and solve the problem every day that they have. Now you see that living in this world have a lot of things to deal with the world. Besides, living together at a church, we also have problem too. And that the pastor need to help them how to live together happily at what God wants us. And a lot of time it's not easy. Tending the flock. And it can mean many things. It can mean that help the little flock, little sheep to grow bigger, mature, and not just physically, but spiritually too. And God expects and hopes that all the sheep one day can be shepherd. That's what we hope. Guarding the flock means that protect them from enemy. And Jesus always say that the sheep cannot protect themselves. Only the shepherd can protect them. So this can mean false teaching, temptation, and all kind of bad things that can happen to them. So the job of the pastor is try to protect them, guard them from all the enemy, from help them to get over all the trial, the temptation. That means not the main job of the pastor. But that is the model responsibility from the Bible. Now, if we compare on today pastor job, we can put it in this way. First, the job of the pastor is teaching the words of God, preaching the words of God, and preaching the good news on the doctrine of the church, the main teaching, the main biblical foundation. Caregiving, visitation, counseling, comforting, taking care of the needs of the people. This is all, some people say more emotionally, help. And performing rite of passage such as baptism, wedding, funeral. This is more the practical side. People die all the time. People get married, and people born or have certain big event in their life, and they need the pastor to be there, to be part of the big thing and do some kind of ceremony for them. Administration. You know that early church, the pastor did this, but modern day, as I say, more churches, the pastor still have to take care of the administration, the meeting, or the program, or the activity to deal with all kind of organization. The pastor still need to supervise the staff, the church, the deacon, and also represent the church in all kind of organization, represent the church in all community, everything. So you sum up, modern day pastor do everything, or at least supervise everything, every activity of the church. You need to supervise, you need to help, you need to approve, and some even compare the modern day pastor of CEO, mean that chief executive officer of the church. And you know that many big church pastors call themselves CEO pastor or minister, mean that chief executive pastor or minister. They really call themselves that way because their job is compared to a big business. And the pastor is the one who sits on top, supervise everything. Like it or not, that's the reality. A lot of people say the pastor should mainly teach the words of God and done. But in reality, modern day pastors have to do everything, supervise everything for the church. And especially for all the small churches, no choice. So now today, the church leader or the pastor is the CEO of the church. And many people accept that. And the church, the people, the member, and the pastor themselves accept that. That is the reality. Even the Bible did not teach that, but it turned out that way. Now this is sum up how the pastor come to this point. We model after Jesus. It starts with Jesus build his relationship with the Father. He preached the gospel of the kingdom of God. He met the need of the people. He made disciples through the power of the Spirit. He gave his life as sacrifice. You see that the pastor tried to model themselves after Jesus in all this ministry. But some people say the pastor cannot die for the church or for the people. Well, in the real sense, no man can die for another man. But the job of the pastor, almost you have to die for your church. Because the church comes before everything. You know that I heard a lot of pastor wife have say a joke that everyone in church can meet my husband, can make appointment with my husband, but I don't have a chance to meet my husband or have his time. Why? Because the people, the member come first, the family come last. And that's something that a mistake. We need to change that. Because as I say that a lot of pastor family are broken family. Especially we see through their children. Because they have seen their dad sacrifice everything, even his own family, for the church. And the children feel that they're not important. So something that we need to talk more about that in the future. And we always hope that the pastor can spend more time with the Father, mean that God the Father, because his main job is to help the people get closer to God. But if the pastor himself cannot do that, how can you help other people? And that is a big problem. Modern day pastors are so busy. You can talk with a lot of pastors. The pastor should have a lot of time to study the Bible and to write his sermon. But in reality, most pastors don't have time for that because he's so busy with the church every day, so busy with the people every day until we have no time to study, to pray, and to prepare his teaching or preaching. So this is something in reality that we need to look back to Jesus. Jesus spent a lot of time praying and spent time with God the Father. He go to the mountain, spend the whole night praying, stay with God. And that's so important that we all, the leader, the pastor, need to go back to the basic. Spend more time with God. Because this is everything that we're supposed to do. Jesus is a model. He prayed, he spent time with God the Father all night, all the time. And that is some model that we need to go back to. So I know it's going to be difficult, but step by step, we as the leader, we need to try to move back to the real teaching of the Bible instead of trying to copy what the world tried to teach us. That's not the right thing. So live a life of prayer, spend more time with God, and that is the basic first thing that we need to go back. And after spend a lot of time with God, we will preach the gospel. Now, this is some other thing that a lot of modern day pastors don't do it anymore. What is the gospel? It's the good news about salvation. A lot of pastors today preach something else. Why? They say people don't want to hear the gospel anymore. They want to hear something else. And Jesus said that in the last day, people will collect all the people to teach, to preach, to say what they want to hear. Even Paul mentioned that a lot too. They don't want to hear the good news, the gospel, the words of God anymore. They just want to hear whatever the world teach them. But we, the leader, the pastor, have to always go back to the gospel, preach about salvation, that people need God. And this is some basic thing that we need to emphasize in our teaching and preaching. God, only God can keep us life. The words of God make us righteous. The words of God can produce growth. And the words of God sanctify us. And the words of God give us wisdom. And this should have to go back to the basic thing that we, as the leader of the church, need to go back to the basic thing and teach the people about all these things. And now the second main job of the pastor that we say, besides teaching them the words of God, is meet the need of the people. If your church is big, 100 people, it means that you have 100 people who have all kind of need, thousands of needs that you need to fulfill. How could you do that? Well, impossible by yourself. If 100 people demand your time every week, how you handle that? Impossible. So a lot of time you need to find a way how to help people, to help themselves, and how to teach the people to help one another. And that is something that we need to do. Instead of go to 100 people and help each one of them, you cannot do that. But if you can train 10 people to help you, so each one of them just have 10 people to handle. And you have 10 leaders that you need to help them. Instead of 100 people. You remember when Moses sit all day try to listen to people's problem. His father-in-law Jethro come see Moses and say, no, this is not right. It's not good. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law told Moses that appoint leader of 10, of 50, of 100, let them take care of themselves. And the one problem that too serious, bring them to you. But all the little things, let them handle themselves. So that the wisdom Moses take it and do it. And a lot of his burden shared by the people. So people ask, why Moses don't see that? Well, I think Moses know that, but he think that people need him. He want to help everyone. It's like, how can you eat an elephant in one sitting? It's impossible. The elephant too big for you. Some people say that if you keep biting, one day you finish the whole elephant. Yes, but it kills you. So people have need and a lot of need all the time. You can help some, you cannot help everyone, and you cannot help everything. You do the best by training more helpers. Making disciples, this is another step that the main job that the pastor have to do. Jesus wants us to make disciples. Mean that the one who can go out and share good news to other people. Not just stay at church and enjoy all the time. Jesus hope that and expect us, all believers, will be disciple. What the difference between believer and disciple? You see that when Jesus in this world, there are so many people follow him to eat free food, to listen to him, to entertain, but only 12 disciples. Why? What the make the difference between follower and disciple? Some people say they are the same, but in fact, they're not the same. Disciples sacrifice everything to follow Jesus full time and serve him. But followers just come sometime to enjoy the free food, free teaching, entertainment, and go home. They don't do anything. That follower. Now today you go to look at most people at churches. Most people come to church to be entertained, to be served, to enjoy. But very few come to church to serve, to sacrifice. Is that the truth? Yes, more churches is that way. If in your church you have 10% of the people want to serve, you are lucky. A lot of churches have less than 10% of people who want to serve, maybe 1 or 2% of people who want to serve. 90-something% want to be served. And that is not so good. We need to change that. We need to make all people want to serve, want to give, want to sacrifice. And that is real disciple. And that's a big job. Only God can do that, but we can do something. After praying, we start teaching them the words of God and ask the Holy Spirit pray that will convict them. More people will step up to be disciple, not just followers. A life of service and sacrifice. This is everyone expects from a pastor. You need to serve and you need to sacrifice, yes. And how much? Well, a lot of pastors sacrifice their whole life serving God and serving the church, serving the people. But everyone have a limit. Every pastor still have family, children to take care too. And you cannot demand the whole family to sacrifice everything for the church. Yes, they sacrifice for God, but not for the whole church. The whole church needs to take part in that sacrifice, in that work. Now, a few things that when we talk about service and sacrifice, we model after Jesus, because Jesus teaching the model of servant leader. What that mean? You are leader, yes. In the same time, you are servant. Because Jesus said that I come to serve, not to be served. So that the model of servant leader mean that you help them. In the same time, you guide them. You humble. And you hope that they will learn, copy your model to be servant leader. Don't do that, not just the pastor. So you see that the servant leader serve and also to sacrifice his life for the church, for the flock. The pastor can do as much as he can do. He cannot do everything himself. And he have to depend on God all the time to do all these things. So now you see a basic thing the pastor can do and cannot do. And we talk about preparation. You cannot do all these things by yourself, or after God called you, you still need training. This is why you go to seminary, you go to Bible college, you learn, you go to learn. You know, all the 12 apostles spent 3.5 years full-time with Jesus, living with him, spend all time learning from him full-time, 3.5 years, in order to prepare themselves to serve. So today, in the past, we model after Jesus. All the students need to come to live in on campus 3 years to 4 years. Live together 3 to 4 years with the professor, teacher. Spend time together 7 days a week. Learning, training, living together. model after Jesus. After 3-4 years, they can graduate to serve God. But today we use the model of modern day school. You just come to school a few hours a week. And then after a few years, you graduate. So you see, you're missing a lot of things that the real apostle have. They live together 3 years, 4 years. We don't have that. And that is the big thing that we're missing. So we try to compensate on that by other way, like we need to have retreat, reunion, or spend some time together at least once a year or every few months. So to learn how to live together and how to work together as a family. So this is something that modern day seminary try to do. I know a seminary in Thailand still demand that students come to live in school for 3 years. And every summer, everyone have to go out for training, evangelism, serving the whole summer together. So they try to make students live the life of apostle full time, 3 full years before they can graduate to serve God. So there is a lot of things they have learned that in the model of Jesus or Paul, that modern day school don't have that opportunity. Well, we try our best. So we help all disciples or the students to learn how to pray. Pray the way of Jesus. It's not just a way that we pray at church in a few minutes, but the prayer of Jesus means that from your heart. And get the wisdom, the insight from God. It means that you spend quiet time with God too. Not just talk, but quiet and listen to God. And always know that we're fighting not just physical war, but spiritual war with Satan, with enemy, that we need to depend on God. And we ask God to move the heart of the leader in congregation in God's way. You see that we cannot change people's heart, only God can do that. And we can pray for God. So as a leader, you need to pray for God to work in people's heart all the time. Seek God's timing. That reminds us that God has time for everything. We need to obey God and wait for God's time. Reading. After praying, they recommend that we read more. Read the Bible, yes, the basic thing. We have to read the Bible every day, all the time. But beside that, reading a lot of good books that teach the words of God or sharing the experience of God. And this is some recommendation of the Bible text and the booklet of reading you good books. And the third step they recommend you, besides praying, reading, is meditation. What's the difference between praying and meditation? The praying is you communicate with God. You speak some, you listen some, but meditation is completely meditate on the words of God, thinking about the words of God. It's different from other meditation. Other meditation, they just concentrate on yourself. But Christian meditation is concentrate on the words of God. You think about the words of God that you just read. And you don't need to close your eye all the time, but you can read the words of God and meditate on it. Don't think about anything else, but just this verse. But now, faith, hope, love. About these three. But the greatest of this is love. And you just put your heart, your mind, your thinking on this word alone. For how long? 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or even longer, and nothing else. This is we call the meditation, Christian meditation on the words of God. Don't think about anything else. Just think about this verse. Or you have more verses to meditate on the words of God or on God Himself. Think about God alone or His word alone, nothing else. Not about yourself, your problem, or other people. It's just God and His words. And this is we call Christian meditation. Personal evaluation. Well, they recommend that as a leader, you evaluate yourself from time to time, how you do your work, how you can change yourself, or how you can improve yourself. And when you find your mistake, confess and ask God to help you make it better next time. That's about evaluation about yourself. And step 5, they call spiritual gifting. And this is mainly about finding yourself that what God gives you, what you can do best, or what you love to do. Some people say that I'm doing what I not have any gift. Or some people say that what I'm doing, I don't like it. Now, how can you deal with that? You see that I don't have this gift. I don't like it, but I have to do it. Now, what is your best option? Well, you can have option. The first option that most American pastors in America do it, they quit the job and go after something that they think they can do better. But for me, I feel that if you already start pastoring the church, it means that you step out into what God called. You can pray that God can change you. Not you change your job, but I pray that God change me to fit what you want me to do. Instead of I quit and go to find something I love, something I can do better. Pray that God change me to fit the work, to fit the need of the people. Well, I don't know which option you will take. But for me, the best thing is pray that God change me. Make me fit the work you call me to do. Not help me find the thing I love, but change me. Make me fit your calling. Make me fit, make me, equip me to serve you what you want. I think that is a better prayer. And that is the better thing. Okay, I will come to you for your question. We still have allowed 12 minutes for your question. I know it's a lot of information, but mainly it's about you. How to prepare yourself, how to deal with your problem before you start serving God. And we have problems all the time. And which is the best way to deal with your situation in order to serve God. Prepare yourself well. Equip yourself for the calling that God has for you. Now, how many of you decide to give up after chapter 1? This is a difficult job. Nathan?
John, I have a question.
Yes.
He said some pastors they just quit their day job and just become pastor and see how things go. And how do we know if we are called to be a minister?
Well, I can share my own experience. When God called me, I said no. But then I start fighting with God. God put in your heart the burden that you cannot eat, you cannot sleep, you cannot do anything. Day and night, you think about it. It won't go away. You're struggling with God for months. And finally, if you want peace, you need to tell God, God, whatever you want, give me peace. And then it's clear. This is from God. So I think you will come to that point one day when God calls you and you say no. And now you see the wall. God won't stop when he calls you, like when he called Moses. I don't know, some of you might have similar experience to share.
I'm gonna ask, so how do you balance your family life and church? Like,
Well, I'm lucky. My wife is the pastor's daughter.
oh, okay.
So she went through that with her whole life before. So when she married me, she know what can expect.
Oh, okay.
So that's a lot easier for me. I don't need to tell her. But it's still, we need to struggling a lot too, because we have 3 children to raise up. And I always missing because of the church responsibility and teaching. One thing that I'm so happy that all my 3 children still go to church and love God. That is the big blessing.
Your children must have a really strong Christian, like a foundation, a really strong foundation growing up.
Yeah, one thing that I give credit to my wife is she demands that we have Bible study together every night when we have dinner. We have dinner together every night and we pray, we read Bible, and we have worship time at least once a week, but we pray together, dinner together every day, and share what God do in our life. So that's the big foundation that we have in the life from birth. And I go to pray for them, pray with them every night after I
Go
come
ahead, Ajahn.
from Bible study. I pray with them and go to pray. Even when sometimes I come back home late, I go to their bed. I pray for them every night. Each one, that God will guide them, protect them.
I think I have to start doing that.
Yeah.
I pray when I go to sleep, but
Mm.
you know, I'm not home all the time. So.
Mm. Well, if you can find the time that you call from your internet, everywhere you go to pray with your children or family, that's a great thing. So when they're young, you can do something, but when they're old, you cannot do anything now. So lay a good foundation when they're young with you. But I don't mean that hopeless after they left home. There's still hope. So Carl, you have something to say?
Yes, I say that when my children they're still young, they're still little. That time I'm not become the believer yet.
Oh, okay.
And when I become the believer in 2008, start in 2008, and then my children is still under 8, but they already grow.
Well, as I say, it's never too late. By God's help, everything possible. You heard the story that Billy Graham children left church, but they come back after they are 40 years old. So you know that Billy Graham and his wife prayed for the children many years. They came back. Why their children left church? Well, they say their parents don't have time for them. This Billy Graham and his wife serving God. And Billy Graham traveled the world preaching the good news, never have time for their children. I don't want to say that he make a mistake. I say that God called him, and sometimes you need to sacrifice if God called you to do that. And God always first. How you think about that saying that God always first?
That's pretty good. So I still have a struggle about little bit about God's always first.
Yeah, we need to be clear on that point. If God is not first in your life, your ministry, I think we have problem because we're serving God. I know it's easy to say, but it's not easy to do. We can
John, I
pray
do
for
have
that.
problem.
Yes.
I do have problems similar to Carl just talk. I know that something I'm not supposed to do, and I do. I know that that's supposed to do for the Lord, and I do for myself. I take the time to do that for myself, and I even know that is not right thing to do, but I did anyway. Is that because on my own, or because the Holy Spirit is not helping me?
No, you see, we still have the physical body, the temptation over there. We need to fight the temptation all the time. As Paul said, and Jesus mentioned that too. Spirit, your spirit is ready, but your physical body is not agree with it. The body is weak. As I say, we are not Superman or Superwoman, just regular people. And it's by the grace of God alone that help us to do this thing. So we need to depend on God. Okay, who have the last question before we finish this class? We're going to take a 10-minute break and come back for the second class. I will send you chapter 2 sometime in a few days. So you have a chance to read it before you come to class next week.